I'd like to call to order the special meeting of the Avalon City Council, September 2nd. Roll call.
Councilmember Cassidy.
Here.
Councilmember Sampson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Wilson.
Here.
And Mayor Marshall.
Here.
And for the record, Councilmember Hernandez has an excused absence.
Take it away, Ben.
Okay, very good, Mayor. So first of all, thank you all for coming together on short notice. We need to meet this morning to discuss the impact of the surge from Hurricane Marie on the city of Avalon and Catalina Island. So what we have for you, and forgive us because it's just in hard copy, we were working this weekend trying to put something together, and we may end up having to make some additional tweaks as we go here, but I believe we have the starting point for what we need. First item on top, you'll see, I hope, a resolution without a number. It's a 3-page document, and this is what I'd like to walk through. And this is the council declaring a state of emergency and expressing the reasons why, and we'll walk through all the whereases, but I first want to just walk through your packet. So that's the most important piece that we have here. I'm aware of a couple typos in this. Again, this is a document that we've been putting together up to the minute, so forgive us on that. That's one thing. Okay. Then you also should have a piece of paper that says criteria for SBA declarations. It's got red font at the top. SBA standing for Small Business Administration, because as you all know, a good portion of the damage sustained in the city of Avalon was to businesses at Pebbly Beach. So this is information from the Small Business Administration as to what they require as far as a threshold for emergency relief. Then you just have a sample that we've been working from the County of Orange. It says County Executive Office Memorandum at the top, and this is just a sample. This is what the County of Orange did on one occasion when they declared an emergency. The reason why this one was brought to your attention, much like Santa Catalina Island, County of Orange had an emergency where some nonprofits were damaged, and they were trying to declare the impact of those in addition to the county itself. So on Catalina Island, it's not only the city of Avalon and those private businesses and property holders, there's also the Catalina Island Conservancy, as you guys know, that suffered some major damage, and that's not only outside the city limits, but it's a 501c3. So that's why this is here. And then lastly, we have a document that just says Memorandum, City of Avalon, prepared by, actually this says Jordan Monroe. This has been the work of Dennis J.H. and Brian Bray and Jordan and myself, trying to tally up the damages that we're aware of. And as Councilmember Cassidy was just alluding to, it's a rough draft. It's very high level preliminary assessments. I'd like to point out that none of these assessments have been reviewed or verified by an insurance adjuster, but this is what we initially think the high level damage could be. So any questions as to the packet you have in front of you and why it's there in front of you? Okay. So with that, we have the department heads here with us. We also have Wayne Griffin from the Chamber of Commerce. We have Harry Peterson from the Island Company. Joe Calla from the Conservancy could not be here this morning. However, he is very much interested in what we are doing. He is heading up efforts on the Conservancy side. I know that Supervisor Kanabe's office is also watching this meeting. We've also been in touch with Assemblymember Lowenthal staff as well as Congressman Lowenthal on this. So as far as I know, at this time, Los Angeles County has not declared any type of state of emergency. Neither has the governor. But considering the impact locally here on the island, we felt it was important to bring you all together today to consider declaring a local emergency here. So any questions about all of that? Okay. Scott, anything?
Just on the resolution itself, what I have done is I have made the proclamation apply to Avalon as well as Santa Catalina Island. We're just asking that the governor declare an emergency for the entire island itself, just to cover matters that are not strictly within your jurisdiction. And so I just added that this morning. And so in the whereases, we will just be adding that the property damage has occurred to the city of Avalon and Santa Catalina Island. So I'm just adding that in. Those are the changes that Ben was talking about to the resolution. And then what happens now is we send this up to the governor's office, and then hopefully the governor's office will declare a state of emergency. And we're also asking that they waive any applicable laws or regulations that may hamper our inability to repair things. We're asking for money and some relaxation in applicable laws to help the city recover as quickly as possible.
So, would you like me to briefly read through what this says? How would you like to proceed, or do you have questions at this point?
I just have a question. Mr. Campbell's last comment. So this would maybe cut coastal out of the loop?
Trying to see what regulations could be waived as part of the restoration. Yes, absolutely.
What funding is available, do we know?
Well, that's part of this. Basically, by declaring an emergency, you allow for your eligibility. Without declaring an emergency, you're not eligible for funding from the County Office of Emergency Services, the State Office of Emergency Services, from FEMA, from the Small Business Administration. There's a host of agencies that might potentially be able to assist the city. I say potentially. I don't know that it's a strong chance, but we certainly have to do this if we're going to even be eligible. And we've been most closely working with the County Office of Emergency Management. And it kind of starts with them, and it gets percolated up.
Well, I don't know that you need to read the resolution. Unless you want him to read the resolution, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, yeah, I feel the same. Just wasn't sure how you felt. I am aware of a couple typos in there that we will correct. Not material.
Do we want to go over the list a little bit, and if anybody has questions?
The
within
list in the
departments?
memorandum of the damages, would you like to? Sure, we can do that. And I might like to call Dennis Jayich and Brian Bray to the podium so that we can discuss that.
Do you think as time goes on, a little ways into the future, we might be able to add other things onto this that might be related that we might have overlooked through these documents?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Good point. Councilmember Sampson is speaking to the fact that what if when we're doing our assessment, we determine that there is still more damage, and yes. The timing, and Jordan can weigh in on this. We have 10 days to be in the window of allowed eligibility.
Okay.
And so that's, in fact, just yesterday, Dennis Jayich was over at the mole reviewing the damage that was there. So we're going over everything. We also have the city's insurance adjuster coming down to take a look too. So, right, we are trying to take a close look at what happened and what may be damaged.
Exactly, because I'm sure it would be hard just to make an assessment right on the spur of the moment and be complete about that assessment and how much damage was done. So that's great.
Yeah, and for the record, it's a good point. You guys are just declaring the emergency. You're not declaring that you necessarily are verifying all the damages.
Okay.
And Jordan handed me a note. We were talking about funding, and according to Leslie Luke, who's the Deputy Director, LA County Office of Emergency Management, funding comes from the California Disaster Act with a 75-25% split, and I don't know what that means. 25%. Oh, it's 25% on our side. Okay. Very good. Okay, so Dennis, do you want to speak to the memorandum and the tally of damages that we have in there?
Sure. As you'll see, council members, in front of you, there's some rough estimates. What we didn't include there, we have to talk about the mole. I did an inspection this morning, and it appears like it suffered some additional damage as a result of the surge. We have pictures of it from 2011, and we have pictures of it from this morning. They're going to be analyzed, and we're going to see the extent. But it will require some observation and some engineering to get a probable number on what the repair would be. Other than that, everything else is listed on the memo. I think it's like the third sheet. The first few are public works repairs that need to be made, and then starting at number 5 is the harbor department damages that they suffered. So I'd be happy to answer any of your questions if you have them, or if you need more time to review them. We'll be here.
Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome.
Brian, is there anything you want to add to that?
Just whatever's in the memo is Dennis covered for me.
And you've also been, I know, Brian, this weekend removing a lot of debris from the harbor as well.
We've been removing debris as the boats call it in, and we've gone up to like a mile and a half out to go fetch a telephone pole, and I think we're up to like 15, 16, 17, like 20-foot pilings that we've piled on the mole right there by the hoist, along with all sorts of 2x4s and 4x12s. And
Are you aware of any recreational or commercial boats suffering damage from running into debris?
no,
I did hear a story of at least one boater who did hit something.
I hadn't heard that yet.
Okay.
So do we become liable for those pilings and whatnot that we've pulled on shore for disposing of those, or is that all going to be wrapped up into this too?
That was a question that I put to Ben early on Friday, and we've been in contact with Lenny Ather from the Conservancy, who said that they would get a truck and come in and get their stuff. I was concerned about the hazardous waste disposal of creosote pilings.
Sounds like a business opportunity.
Brian,
Lawn Harbor Building Supply.
who's responsible for cleaning all the pilings that are on the shoreline all the way down to, say, White's? I saw a bunch of them yesterday.
That would be the property owner, but as soon as the tide comes up, it's going to be out drifting, and
Right.
we have no problem picking it up just so a boater doesn't hit it. But in the end, we've got to have somebody pay for its disposal.
A lot
Okay.
sitting on the beaches.
I'm just curious on this is a Dennis question, I think, the coastline, the storm drain gates, those are the things we want to put flappers on? Perhaps?
Dennis, why don't you come up?
I'm sorry, Mayor?
On the storm drain gates, are those the things that we're considering putting the flappers on?
Yes. Yes.
So can we up this about 100 grand?
Yes.
Okay.
Flappers were installed. They just
You'll
ripped
notice
off.
that Councilman Sampson's one of his major goals was the Pedro Beach Road, and unfortunately that took a brunt of the force and damage it. So you'll notice that's number 1 on the memo, and we just don't know how much it would cost to fix that yet. We're going to investigate it as quickly as we can.
And just to follow up a question, we've confirmed that when the preliminary damage assessment is complete, you can add additional locations. And that's from LA County Office of Emergency Service.
Okay.
They're
Yes.
obviously paying attention to our meeting.
Councilman Sampson liked the stair that you saw on Friday. That's not on here, but it will be.
Is that Steps Beach?
Yes.
Yeah.
Councilman Sampson.
Yeah, the bottom part that broke off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the signs you guys put on there for liability. Thank you.
I wondered why the signs were there until I walked down and realized exactly what they were talking about. Yeah.
What about the stairs into the water polo area?
Well, we can add those as well. Okay, any questions? I know that it's a travel day for the council. You guys are off to the League of California Cities. Probably need to make some last minute preparations. If there's any other questions, we'd like to entertain them. We also have, well, he was here. Did the Island Company leave?
Phone call.
Phone call, okay. So any additional questions, or would you like to consider the resolution?
Just real quick, so let's say we are not granted this. Our insurance, because you said the insurance adjuster will come, so we may have some relief just through our own insurance.
And a lot of the private property owners are also insured. However, I've spoken with some of them, and you know the concern is the delta between the levels of their coverage and what it's going to cost to replace. And in some cases, it's significant, especially with the boatyard, with entire buildings lost. That's going to be very pricey to replace. Then the other thing to consider is loss of revenue too.
All right.
So.
All right. Do we have public comment? Anybody want to share? Mr. Cleary, when all of that, so I'm assuming there was a whole lot of extra salt water that went into the system with all those surges, and that works out okay? I mean...
Do you want to come to the podium, David? Thank you.
Since he came all this way, we have to have him say something.
Yeah, well, we needed adjustments before the storm so that we can account for all the extra salt water.
Okay.
So everything worked out fine on our end.
Oh, excellent.
No
Yeah.
problem.
Nice.
Thank you.
Good work. Thank you.
Does law enforcement have anything to report?
Not really, other than the fact that we did, shift our priorities to monitor the roadways and assess the damages that were occurring, making sure that roadways were clear, because I understood, we saw that the main roadway leading to Pebbly Beach was blocked off, so the only other access was up through the hills. So we had a lot of looky-loo activity, looking at the surge activity, so we wanted to make sure that the roadways were clear, made sure the critical facilities were doing okay. The heliport was one of the areas where we had to go and chase people off the heliport area so the helicopter could land and ferry people off the island since the Calian Express was suspended. Other than that, during our normal duties, I made sure that we had personnel monitoring the crowds and the roadways and the critical facilities, looters, anything like that, any kind of activity where people are going to go out there and take advantage of the situation. So, but everything was smooth, no issues of concern.
Great. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I just want to thank I want one chance that this is the first chance we've had to do this, but all of our emergency services and regular services, Harbor Department, Fire, Chamber, Dave for his good work, law enforcement, and anybody
Public
I
Works.
Public Works.
Public
Yeah.
Works, JH, Mr. JH for sure. He had a long night that night, and then I ended up waking him up about 3 in the morning too. So for some other issues that were going on. But thank you guys for all the hard work and dedication. And I'm grateful that nobody was badly injured during this storm. I mean, we had some real close calls, and that could have been a different outcome. So thanks to your quick response and professionalism, we got through this disaster without anybody getting hurt or worse. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies, for that.
Pleasure of the council.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any additional comment? Call for the vote.
Not on. How about raise your hands?
Aye.
4 ayes and 1 absent. Councilmember Hernandez.
Technology is a wonderful thing.
That's technology.
Okay, very good. Then we will proceed. We will be continuing our assessment. We will work closely with the county and the state. Appreciate you coming together this morning on short notice to do this. We will keep you posted as to the results of our efforts.
And thank you on an administrative level. Thank you, Scott and Jordan and Ben and Denise and whoever for putting all this together.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned.